it is a beautiful Wednesday. This is the day that the Lord has made. This week I've been excited, and every morning I like to say this is the day that the Lord has made, because indeed, if you are a believer, every morning that you wake up and you know that you can breathe, it is a day that the Lord has made. Well, good morning and thank you for joining us here on Good Morning Uganda. My name is Olive Monica Najuma, and I am joined by Jerome Paul Sonko and Chantal Olive Kandinda. Chiraba Robert is a bit under the weather, but we will still, represent and represent favorably. This morning is a Wednesday, and as we do here on Good Morning Uganda, we crush on women from different spheres of life. And today, personally, I would like to crush on the women in the army, the ladies that have been with Uganda in Uganda's army. We talk about ladies like Kadona Reiso and many more that have served our country and served it good. Actually, one of these ladies is the current vice president of this country, that is Jessica Alupo. Before she, retired in the army, before she became vice president, she was in the army a few years ago. So I'm crushing on these ladies because normally we are told that the army and some other jobs are not made for women. So when I see women that go out there and actually make it, breaking through the proverbial glass ceiling, I am like, you know what? I'm crushing on you and you're doing a great job. So for any lady that is in the army, that is in the police, any lady that is serving in our security agencies, we are crushing on you this morning. And Jerome Paul, good morning.
Well, good morning, Monica. Good morning, Chantal. Good morning, Ugandans. How are you doing? It's Wednesday and it does look lovely. Well, it's Wednesday, which you've ideally mentioned that we need to also look at the women that we are crushing on. And today, it being a fruitful Wednesday, I have decided to crush on the former Kampala Capital City Authority ED. Oh, yes. That is Miss Jennifer Musisi. During the time she was the ED, obviously we all had issues in relation to how the roadside vendors were, and we are asking questions like, where is humanity and everything. But surprisingly, during such a time, every Ugandan will actually agree with me that there was a lot of organization when it comes to how the city was moving faster. Now today is something I've actually noticed as I was coming to work or heading to work. I happened to use a border in the morning very early, and there's one thing I've realized, and it is the fact that we do have lots of potholes when you look at areas leading to the city, and also our skies look too dusty. And that is also due to the dust, obviously. And it also takes me back to the time when there was one of the Nigerian on social media saying that our skies in Kampala are too dusty, and Ugandans were saying he's trying to bash us. But when you realize if you get out into Kampala, or if you get out of Kampala and you go to, let's say, up country, you realize that those skies are a bit more, a little bit more bright or brighter than ours here. So it has actually forced me to remember how the good old days were. That is around 2013, 2015, 2016, when Jennifer Musisi was still around. There were some harsh texts she used to, to take. But however, the decisions she took during that time changed the city in one way or the other. Yes. Sadly, though, it is not the same currently, I would say.
Yeah, like you said.
Because I didn't attend one, I was only getting details from friends and everything. But then, when you're still in at that time when you are still under your mother's roof, there are things you don't attend just like that.
I was able to actually attend the second carnival, yes, and it was really interesting. Lots of people from different walks of life, many activities here and there. Though I remember the first carnival didn't actually make KCCA the money that they thought they were going to make, and around that time the vendors even complained that there were lost sales, but that was the first one. Anyway, like I said, I'm crushing on the ladies in uniform, especially that is Lieutenant General Nare. So she's the highest ranking female officer in the UPDF Army. But I wonder what my colleague Chantal is, who my colleague Chantal is crushing on this morning.
This morning, I am crushing on the ladies that are usually behind the scenes, making sure that a production like this takes place. We've seen a number of them do the runarounds here, sound is not stable, blah, 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 blah. And they're making sure everything is running perfectly. They are very fit, by the way. And today I'm just crushing on those ladies.
A standing ovation in the control room.
They do a wonderful job to make sure that this show runs. And usually people tend to think that men are the one, should be the ones behind these things.
Yes.
But we do have ladies on the team here at UBC that make sure that production runs smoothly. So I'm crushing on those ladies this morning.
Wow, thank you so much. And I also appreciate that these ladies. What was that?
I didn't say anything.
Out loud.
Well, if you're a lady today, yes, we may have crushed on the ladies in uniform, the ladies in production, and of course the former executive director of Kampala Capital City Authority. But Wednesday is Woman Crush Wednesday, so go ahead and crush on your mother, go ahead and crush on your sister, go ahead and crush on your boss, anyone that inspires you. You can crush on your children as well, because some of us parents, our children are the reason we get out of bed every single morning to try and go make ends meet. So crush on anyone. It's Woman Crush Wednesday. Even if you want to crush on yourself, you can as well go ahead and do that, because you do a great job of surviving, of making ends meet. Anyway, a lot of things happen. And speaking of ends to meet, we have had issues and incidents in our country where Ugandans have been promised to invest and then reap big. And, you know, this is usually called Ponzi schemes. We've had in the past schemes like Telex Free, Add Fast Cash that have taken Ugandans' money. Now, the most recent one, in as much as they are denying it, but Capital Markets Authority warned people that were dealing with it, is Capital Chicken. It is alleged that many Ugandans have lost millions of money in this one. Sonko, what do you think about this?
Well, when the information came out, I think social media was the very first to react, because we do have quite a number of social media influencers who are being used to market this kind of thing, and they were ideally, you know, promising Ugandans that, you know, how social media influencers first of all market. Someone tells you if you invest your money into this particular Capital Chicken, you will get to have more money within 1 year or 2 years. That your poultry will actually be, let's say your chicken will actually be growing. Though surprisingly, the Capital Chicken operations have actually been coming out to say that the various social media platforms indicating that they've closed and disappeared is not true, because they're actually saying that they were forced to temporarily close following a capital markets news release discrediting them as legal, I should say. So again, the idea of the fact that why Ugandans are saying this is another scheme is simply because having closed, there are Ugandans who had already invested millions of money there. And when you look at some of the other, I think we've heard of the likes of the AIM Global, we've heard of all those schemes promising Ugandans some good money.
Invest 5 million, you get 15, you get 20 so in just a couple of months.
Exactly. So it is again something that in some of the interactions I did have, yesterday I was downtown Kampala. Well, some of the women who have worked for so long in Kampala were actually saying there's something wrong with our generation. And they're saying that our generation is living in denial to the fact that they want quick money at a very fast rate. And of course we can't blame anyone if you want to have money, because we all want money, honestly. But there is some realistic way of getting money. And then if someone lures you into such deals, you need to first of all ask yourself, you know, how profitable is it? Because we do have lots of people in this kind of, for example, poultry farming. You know, you need to ask yourself all these
I
questions.
actually think before you even ask yourself how profitable it is, ask yourself how genuine it is. Because like Capital Chicken was promising people that you can invest if you do not want to get like involved in the, you know, the dirty business of like doing the poultry farming yourself. You invest and then you will yield profits. They will do the farming for you and you will yield the profits. Basically, armchair investment. Put in your money, let someone else do the dirty work, let the money work for you. But I don't know a successful man in this country, and I stand to be corrected, that has made money by sitting in the back and other people are running the business.
The working smart kind of situation.
Well, there are some scenarios where that could work. However, in this case, checks have to be done. But when you listen to, when you look at the report from Capital Chicken, they say this operation was meant to, or this whatever happened was meant to streamline their operations, and apparently the authorities, or the concerned authorities, not engage them on the same, so that they are in sync. And what has happened is temporary closure. Their accounts are just frozen. It's not like they've run away with people's money and stuff like that. But well, how this goes, only God knows.
They only made a social media post, you know,
right,
to avert.
Twitter.
Exactly. But anyway, we will be keeping you updated on this story. In case it is just, you know, allegations and they've not run away with people's money, we will know. But Ugandans, on the other hand, I implore you, before you invest your hard-earned cash into anything, whether buying land or a house, you need to do the spot check. You need to, you know, do many checks to ensure that you're not being ripped off, because you can even sell a property and you know, someone tells you invest this money into this, and before you know it, you've lost everything. You've lost that property, you've lost the money, and you don't have the business. So we need to be very vigilant before we spend our money, because the economy, things are not really that easy. Anyway, at this point, we get to delve into the local stories, and I will start with the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister of Uganda, Honorable Robina Nabanja, has met the U.S. Ambassador to Uganda, His Excellency William Pope, who called on her at the office of the Prime Minister in Kampala. Nabanja welcomed the ambassador on his tour of duty and congratulated him for being deployed to the Pearl of Africa as the U.S. ambassador. And moving on, Cabinet has approved a 6-member board of directors of Uganda National Roads Authority in a paper presented to it by the Minister for Works and Transport on Monday. While addressing the press at the Media Center in Kampala, the Minister for ICT and National Guidance, Dr. Chris Baryomonsi, said these members are to supervise the management or UNRA and also represent different interests of Ugandans. And still speaking matters local news, the government has confirmed the return of Rwenzururu Kingdom Charles. I beg your pardon, the government has confirmed the return of Rwenzururu Kingdom's King Charles Wesley Mumbere to his kingdom in Kasese district after 7 years in detention following the 2016 political turmoil in which over 100 people smoked to death under his command at Buhikira Palace in Kasese town. Omsinga Charles Wesley Mumbere was released with several royal guards he committed murder offences with after closed-door political negotiations with government. Omsinga Mumbere will be airlifted from Kololo Independence Ceremonial Grounds on Wednesday morning to Kasese town. However, the organisers of Omsinga Mumbere's home return from safe custody have appealed to his subjects to maintain peace as they prepare to receive him on Wednesday. And lastly, the Historical Council met today at the Ministry The Historical Council met yesterday at the Ministry of Tourism to discuss on common issues such as politics, education and finance, and they want to meet President Museveni to help historical people. Minister for Tourism Tom Botime lashed at corrupt civil servants who tarnish government's image. He was meeting NRM historicals at the ministry headquarters in Kampala.
Away from that, let's take a look at what is happening internationally now. Kevin McCarthy has been ousted in a right-wing revolt, the first time ever that a U.S. House of Representatives Speaker has lost a non-confidence vote. The final tally was 216 to 210 to remove the California congressman as leader of the Republican majority in the lower chamber of Congress. Ultra-conservatives mutinied after he struck a deal on Saturday with Senate Democrats to fund government agencies. There is no obvious successor to oversee the House Republican majority. The Florida Republican Matt Gaetz, a Trump ally, filed a rarely used procedural tool known as a motion to vacate on Monday night to oust Mr. McCarthy. He accused the Speaker of making a secret deal with the White House to continue funding for Ukraine, which Mr. McCarthy denies. And India asks Canada to withdraw dozens of diplomatic staff. India has asked Canada to withdraw about 40 diplomatic staff from India, and this is in a sharp escalation of a weeks-long crisis. Those who stayed past 10th October would lose their diplomatic immunity, the Financial Times first reported. Last month, Canada said India may have been behind the killing of a Sikh separatist leader on Canadian soil, which India has denied. An Indian Foreign Ministry official told the BBC that it had no comment to make. Canada has many more diplomats in Delhi than India has in Ottawa, and since this crisis erupted, India has asked Canada to for parity in its diplomatic missions. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau told reporters on Tuesday he was not seeking to escalate the rift with India. And coming back to Kenya, Kenya's communications regulator has said the country experienced a record 860 million cyber attacks in the last 12 months. The regulator said that the frequency, sophistication and scale of cyber threats targeted at Kenya's critical information infrastructure had increased dramatically. In 2017, Kenya experienced 7.7 million cyber attacks. In July, a high-profile cyber attack attributed to the pro-Russian hacking group Anonymous Sudan cut off access to more than 5,000 online government services in the country, including visa, passport and driving license applications and renewals. The attack also disabled online train booking systems and mobile money transactions. The Communications Authority of Kenya on Monday said that 79% of the attacks recorded in the last 12 months were caused by cyber criminals infiltrating the computer systems of organizations. And then, speaking matters climate, Bill Gates is emphatic. "I don't plant trees," he declared recently, wading into a debate about whether mass tree planting is really much use in fighting climate change. The billionaire philanthropist was being probed on how he offset his carbon emissions and insisted he avoids some of the less proven approaches. The claim that planting enough trees could solve the climate crisis is complete nonsense, he told a climate discussion organized by the New York Times last week. Are we the science people or are we the idiots? Gates' polemical pronouncements made headlines and prompted criticism from backers of reforestation, that is planting of trees in damaged forests, and afforestation, planting trees in areas that were not recently characterized by forests. Now, that is it for the climate news, but also what is happening on the international scene.
Thank you so much, Chantal, for that update. Right about now, Jerome Paul Sonko takes us through the top stories that have graced the front pages of our local dailies.
The New Vision highlights security beefed up at provincial headquarters as row hits Namirembe Bishop elections. That and more is with the New Vision today. Now, the AFCON legislation debate, Uganda's readiness, how ready are we? And then also in the Independence magazine, inheriting unclear border was disastrous. More of the same. The New Vision gives you more details. Then the International Day for Older Persons, the pictorial of the Right Honorable Prime Minister Robin Nabanja with the elderly representatives as well as the elderly people as the celebrations were marked. And now, furthermore, the Uganda Wildlife Authority scandal, how cheap permits were used to track gorillas. More of the same in the New Vision today. Now, the big interview, Lukwago vows to take over FDC officers. More of that in the New Vision today. Moving further, the Daily Monitor, how new malaria vaccine will work. You can read more of the same story still with the Daily Monitor today. As indiscipline, Ntare School suspends all senior 6 students. A pictorial of parents picking up their students here in the Daily Monitor's case today. Uganda Wildlife Authority in new US donation graft scandal. Is a lot more of that of the Uganda Wildlife Authority and the corruption issues. Now, in the other news, Parliament demands report on Alupo and Nabanje US trip as King Mumbere returns to Kasese after 7 years. Then coffin cell at Molago Hospital sparks debate on ethics. More of that in the Daily Monitor. Well, that's it for our front pages in the country here, and we shall be looking as well to see what is making headlines across the East African region in the second hour of the show.
All right, thank you so much for keeping it UBC and Good Morning Uganda. Here is where we give you all the insights that you may need to start your day, and among these is usually top local stories and international news, and later on we give you sports updates and many topical discussions. So please do not even think about changing your channel, because UBC and Good Morning Uganda, we are here to serve you by educating you, inspiring you, and of course entertaining you. And speaking of entertainment, we are going to take a short break and we will leave you with a song that is Beautifully by Fev.
This is Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
There's just one thing to say. Now how you do Jaja, beautiful display. And if you can't see my face, you know that your love is healing. Beautifully wonderful love. Anywhere I follow, you no matter far. If you like play me, long as say nobody know. Baby, because nobody know like it. Crazy boy, you are the air that I breathe. And if I can't see no clear, I know you are my eyeglasses. I see you when I call my shot. I don't want anyone to know. Say you believe in love. I tell you what you want to know. Beautifully wonderful love. Anywhere I follow, you know my far. If you like play me, long as say nobody know. Baby, because nobody knows. You get to town where I know they okay. Early in the morning, but your face is all that comforts me. Body and soul is everything. If you do like this, do like that. I will do like this, do like that. If you sing with, I'll sing right back. If you like it, we'll go all night. Beautiful.
Well, it is a beautiful Wednesday. This is the day that the Lord has made. This week I've been excited, and every morning I like to say this is the day that the Lord has made, because indeed, if you are a believer, every morning that you wake up and you know that you can breathe, it is a day that the Lord has made. Well, good morning and thank you for joining us here on Good Morning Uganda. My name is Olive Monica Najuma, and I am joined by Jerome Paul Sonko and Chantal Olive Kandinda. Trevor Robert is a bit under the weather, but we will still, represent and represent favorably. This morning is a Wednesday, and as we do here on Good Morning Uganda, we crush on women from different spheres of life. And today, personally, I would like to crush on the women in the army, the ladies that have been with Uganda. In Uganda's army, we talk about ladies like Kadona Reiso and many more that have served our country and served it good. Actually, one of these ladies is the current vice president of this country, that is Jessica Alupo. Before she, retired in the army, before she became vice president, she was in the army a few years ago. So I'm crushing on these ladies because normally we are told that the army and some other jobs are not made for women. So when I see women that go out there and actually make it, breaking through the proverbial glass ceiling, I am like, you know what? I'm crushing on you and you're doing a great job. So for any lady that is in the army, that is in the police, any lady that is serving in our security agencies, we are crushing on you this morning. And Jerome Paul, good morning.
Well, good morning, Monica. Good morning, Chantal. Good morning, Ugandans. How are you doing? It's Wednesday and it does look lovely. Well, it's Wednesday, which you've ideally mentioned that we need to also look at the women that we are crushing on. And today, it being a fruitful Wednesday, I have decided to crush on the former Kampala Capital City Authority ED. Oh, yes. That is Miss Jennifer Musisi. During the time she was the ED, obviously we all had issues in relation to how the roadside vendors were, and we are asking questions like, where is humanity and everything. But surprisingly, during such a time, every Ugandan will actually agree with me that there was a lot of organization when it comes to how the city was moving faster. Now today is something I've actually noticed as I was coming to work or heading to work. I happened to use a border in the morning very early, and there's one thing I've realized, and it is the fact that we do have lots of potholes when you look at areas leading to the city. And also our skies look too dusty, and that is also due to the dust, obviously. And it also takes me back to the time when there was one of the Nigerian on social media saying that our skies in Kampala are too dusty, and Ugandans were saying he's trying to bash us. But when you realize if you get out into Kampala, or if you get out of Kampala and you go to, let's say, up country, you realize that those skies are a bit more, a little bit more bright or brighter than ours here. So it has actually forced me to remember how the good old days were. That is around 2013, 2015, 2016, when Jennifer Musisi was still around. There were some harsh texts she used to, to take. But however, the decisions she took during that time changed the city in one way or the other. Yes. Sadly, though, it is not the same currently, I would say. Yeah,
like you said.
Because I didn't attend one, I was only, getting details from friends and everything. But then, when you're still in at that time when you are still under your mother's roof, there are things you don't attend just like that.
I was able to actually attend the second Carnival, yes, and it was really interesting. Lots of people from different walks of life, many activities here and there. Though I remember the first carnival didn't actually make KCCA the money that they thought they were going to make, and around that time the vendors even complained that there were low sales, but that was the first one. Anyway, like I said, I'm crushing on the ladies in uniform, especially that is Lieutenant General Naray. So she's the highest ranking female officer in the UPDF Army. But I wonder what my colleague Chantal is, who my colleague Chantal is crushing on this morning.
This morning, I am crushing on the ladies that are usually behind the scenes, making sure that a production like this takes place. We've seen a number of them do the runarounds here. Sound is not stable, blah, 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 blah. And they're making sure everything is running perfectly. They are very fit, by the way. And today I'm just crushing on those ladies.
A standing ovation in the control room.
They do a wonderful job to make sure that this show runs. And usually people tend to think that men are the one, should be the ones behind these things.
Yes.
But we do have ladies on the team here at UBC that make sure that production runs smoothly. So I'm crushing on those ladies this morning.
Wow, thank you so much. And I also appreciate these ladies. What was that?
I didn't say anything.
Just think out loud.
Well, if you're a lady, today, yes, we may have crushed on the ladies in uniform, the ladies in production, and of course, the former Executive Director of Kampala Capital City Authority. But Wednesday is Woman Crush Wednesday. So go ahead and crush on your mother, go ahead and crush on your sister, go ahead and crush on your boss, anyone that inspires you. You can crush on your children as well, because some of us parents, our children are the
from school. So these students, students are usually presumed to be at the playground after classes. Unfortunately, like Sonko said, some are seen loitering in town. So what happened was the head teacher stood at the gate and waited for those who were at the pitch to come in, and did roll call of those who were at the pitch and those who were in school. And those who came in later were given a punishment because they had done something wrong. And of course the assembly was also called. You're not supposed to loiter in town, you're supposed to be going to the pitch, stuff like that. Now the unfortunate bit is these kids organized themselves in the wee hours of the morning and decided to demonstrate. That is vandalizing cameras, breaking glasses, and also going to the residence of the headmaster looking for him. Now, please do note that this is common practice and has been there for years, where when some of these schools strike, they'll even go to the teachers. If they are annoyed at a teacher, if that teacher is in the teacher's quarters, they better run for their life. You get it? So they went to the head teacher's quarter, but he had been tipped off and he wasn't there. So of course, fast forward, police comes in and, you know, these students are now expelled. I mean, these students are now put to order because at that point, no one else could actually handle them. So because they vandalized property, because they had literally misbehaved, according to the headmaster, such behavior cannot be condoned, where you wake up and just go loitering in town. And the truth is, I had a chance to do my campus from Barra side. You would find these boys even in the bar at night. You're going to find them there. So I think this is what the headmaster was trying to avoid. Unfortunately, because this is, how can I call it? This is something that has been happening over the years. Some of these kids even opt for this school because of this very reason, the freedom that is perceived to be there. And this is what the headmaster was trying to fight against. Unfortunately, it ended up in such a scenario.
So there is the loitering that was one of the contributing factors.
Yes.
And also, according to an interview the headmaster had with one of our sister media houses, that is the New Vision, he said that the two senior 6 students were found with mobile phones and they were expelled because mobile phones, having a mobile phone is against the school rules. And what the senior 6 students decided to do was to strike because their colleagues had been suspended, and yet their exams begin in November. So they striked, and at the end of the day vandalized school property, locked teachers into a class in the staff room and interrogated them about who reported their colleagues to the headmaster. And before we knew it, this all went out of control, and now all 240 students were suspended. Now, coming back to the whole suspension, there have been people that are for the suspension, and then there are people who are against the suspension. Some of them are saying that this is an extreme reaction from the school.
Extreme? I don't think so. With this kind of generation, it does look like the very first thing they would do. Back in the time, there was actually expulsion at a time, but this looks like just a suspension, where indefinite suspension. So maybe later on, with discussions, of course, with the district education officer Mbarara and the parents or the PTA as well, and the students themselves, they will come to an understanding later on. But you know, when you look at the issue to do with suspension, first you ask yourself, when you look at these students, are they the first students to be in the school?
No.
And then are they also the first students to be in senior 6? You know, when we were going in for senior 6 examinations, our teachers used to tell us, you're not the very first to be in senior 6. There were people before you. There are also other students that are coming after you. Now, those coming after you are looking up to you. So every time you do something, they will end up emulating or copying you. So when you look at this for what the teacher did, I think it was the rightful decision to take, for starters, because when you look at the fact that he has been having endless, the school has been having endless discussions with these students in relation to how they should stop or how they should behave while they are in school. Remember, with the assemblies warning them not to loiter around, because all this is coming from how they handle themselves once they are going out of the school, especially when they are going to access the playground. Then others, what you could call the defiant students, you know, in every school there are those students that are termed to be the cool students, or the big-headed students who are way above the school rules and regulations, which is not even right, because we are supposed to be embedded under a certain law or rules that are set up or governed by a community, society, name it. So when you look at this particular decision taken by the school, it was right, because when the head teacher was warning the students a couple of times, most of them didn't take the warning seriously. So they even went, you know, the issue was not taking the warning seriously, but going ahead to even start up a strike. And you start destroying school property, regardless of whether, you know, your parents are paying these school fees, but destroying property which you are not only using alone, where other innocent students are actually using, is something that it needs to be really worked upon. And what the school did with the suspension is to check these students, to check them up morally.
But then again, Sonko, the other thing would be some of the students that are being suspended are not even part of the strike.
That's why some people are arguing that
it's unfair.
That it's unfair it's unfair to suspend everyone because not everyone was involved. But like Sonko said, probably the school, that's where they will start from.
You know, that particular school, honestly, for those that know, when I mention certain schools, you will know what I'm talking about. Entire school, Mbarara High School. There's another one called, I've forgotten the name, but at some point there was also another one called Dinganwa. Now Donganwa is now mixed. There's another one called Dinganwa, and some other schools that I may not be able to mention in the West. They had that reputation. If a teacher beats up a student, of course unfairly sometimes, these kids would take the law into their own hands, vandalize property, even beat up the teacher. If that teacher has a child in school, that child would not sleep in the school, stuff like that. So we have seen this happen over the years, and maybe if this is a shake-up that the school needs, because the school itself has a reputation of whether strikes happen or not, these kids will still be back. There's also some bit of freedom in there that they were, let me just call it perceived freedom that they were talking about.
So I think here there is a big issue of indiscipline in the school. And because this is not an isolated case, there have been different strikes by the same school, by different students over different years. Yes. There was one where students of Ontari lost in a game with Mbara High School, and then they decided to trek from their school armed with stones and sticks.
It's not very far by the way.
Exactly. So they decided to trek from their school to go and teach those ones of Mbara High School a lesson for having won, okay? And they ended up vandalizing property of Mbara High School. And even in 2021, there is a time when the school was closed in first term because there had been a strike and parents were asked to pick their children. So this keeps happening over the years. And the big question here is, where is the school failing? Because it's not the only single school.
True.
Okay?
We have quite many.
Exactly. But why is it Ntare? Why is it is the one school where there are more and more strikes almost every year?
I don't know also, because one may still ask, is there a lot of freedom given to the boys? Because when you look at the other schools that we have in the country, you look at the SMAC, we have Nameliango boys, we've got Mwiri, we've got, you know, we have quite many, if you're to put them in that picture, the basket. But then, in most cases, you're not going to hear of strikes that much, though they are in there, but you're not going to hear more of this kind of strike.
Let me answer this question for you. The issue of strikes in these schools, especially if you realize from the West, has stretched time immemorial. When you speak to, for those who have parents that studied from the West, when you speak to some of those uncles of yours or fathers or slightly older, maybe grandfathers stretching too, they will tell you the school that always won the strike took the glory. When you listen to these students speak, they're going to tell you, Ntare is the lion. When you talk to Mbara High School students, Mbara High School, we are the bulls. You understand? So it came from a prestigious, in a way, prestigious kind of setting from way back, that these kids would actually strike, and whichever school has won the strike walks off feeling like they are the men. They are the ones leading the particular region. They are the ones leading in certain games. They are the ones leading in this particular area because they have that kind of power. That's what ideally it came with in that moment. And the truth is, over the years, or in the past years, people would die, students would die during strikes. If you had a match between Mbara High School and Ntare High School, or Nganwa and Mbara High School, before that match ends, if you don't want to get injured, if you're not a violent person, run for your life. Because whichever side has won is going to fight. It was known, it was automatic, it was expected. So you realize that it stretches from way back in history that these people glorified these strikes, glorified these fights. Now the school comes with a reputation of, it has this kind of reputation. Now, what is supposed to happen right now is that idea has to be broken, especially in the students that we have now, because those were primitive things that were done. It was back in the day when fighting was regarded as something good. Whoever wins is the man.
When or even things like bullying were accepted.
And in those schools, students would lose teeth. Students would live with broken arms or legs due to bullying.
There was an incident in Western Uganda where a senior one student was locked in a suitcase and suffocated to death.
Yes, they did those things. Now, I can assure you, if, like I said, if you could interact with people that went to those schools, they will tell you, if you don't have godfathers and big boys in bigger classes to protect you, if you're in senior 1, senior 2, you are in trouble, because these big boys would actually come and start bullying the younger ones. So it was glorified in a way, and the unfortunate bit is we never came out to for lack of a better word to use, if this is good English, unglorify these things.
Anyway, before we find out about that, I would love for you to share your views, your opinions, your questions. Just speak to us, and we are asking you to share your thoughts on the impact of students' strikes in learning institutions. Yes, yesterday, Ntare School indefinitely suspended all Senior 6 students. Please note, Senior 6 exams, national exams, are supposed to start sometime early November, and now third term has just begun. This is the third week of the term, and students have been sent home. So, was this a good solution? We need to know. Is the school on the right track? But also, there are many questions regarding the school strikes in the country, because in as much as the light here is on Ntare School, there have been different strikes in different education institutions. So that's where you come in. We'd like for you to share your thoughts on the impact of student strikes in learning institutions. And the WhatsApp number where you can reach us is 0709602592, 0709602592. And if you are on the X app, the hashtag is UBCGMU. Now, coming back to what Chantal touched on earlier, she said the region glorified strikes. They glorified violence, for lack of a better word. Now, we have come to a point where the government has put regulations in place that bar issues like bullying. Bullying is illegal in any Ugandan school. But now we have an issue of strikes, where students are unhappy and they strike. Last year we had many incidents where different schools from different parts of the country were suspending students. An entire school closed because students were striking. Maybe first of all, can we look at why the students strike?
There's an element of entitlement somewhere there. Sorry to say. I think parents have raised entitled children or students, and you don't blame anyone, by the way, for that, for raising an entitled child. And this brings up the laxity of a child doing anything they wish they want to do, or what they have to do, because they are coming from a well-off family, or a family that grew up, or maybe a family that had a father or an uncle going through the famous Ntare. So the child has been hearing all these stories. So it's like, since my grandfather was here and my father was here, let me push the legacy forward. And this issue of entitlement causes a lot of issues in school. We've studied with colleagues as well back in private schools, whereby you're interacting with someone, but the level of arrogancy, or the level of the way they handle themselves, even in school, tells you a lot about where they come from, or can ideally tell you that from the grassroots, this is how they, they raise this person. And then also looking at the fact that there is need for career guidance in most of these schools, especially the boy-child kind of schools. And this is something that most schools do not prioritize, trust me. And there are some traditional boys' schools where reverends, reverend fathers, bishops, brothers, I think most of, for example, those that are staunch Catholic schools have brothers who normally give guidance to most of these boys, to put them in check when it comes to the moral upbringing, reminding them of how they're supposed to handle themselves while in school and while away from school. And I think this is something that needs to be pushed harder with also Ntare. If, for example, it has been going on, there needs to be more of the same. We need to have these leaders who have actually got through the school to come to these students once in a while, every term maybe, because we have big names in leadership positions who have actually passed through Ntare. So if we can have these big influential figures going to talk to these students, reminding them about how we need to at least have upbringing, a moral upbringing that is actually straightforward, whereby we need to be accountable for our faults, rather than, praising these faults because we are growing up, or we've matured up, or we are the big boys in town. Then we shall be having a big problem. So I think maybe there is lack of enough guidance, more so when it comes to the moral checkup.
Now, going back to Ntare School, they have had strikes, like I said earlier, different strikes over, a period of different years. Now, in 2015, a senior 3 class was suspended. The entire class was indefinitely suspended, still over misconduct. And then, of course, the incident I mentioned in 2013, where the entire school was now closed because of misconduct. And now yesterday's incident, and please note there are other incidents in between that I've not mentioned. So now that we know that in as much as the school has been taking the course of indefinitely suspending students when there is misconduct, and it seems not to work, what measures can the school take or implement to ensure that discipline is restored in the school? Because right now, what we see is a lack of discipline in the school. Where is the school failing, and how can it, make things straight?
When you go, we need to go back down to, let's go back down to the basics, like I told you. The glory that was there, that gave this school, I'm not even going to say the students, it gave the school a reputation of what it is right now. It needs to go back down to being broken. Please do know that this school performs really well.
True.
The students are very good performers, the biggest percentage. It's one of the best performing schools in the West, and usually among the best in the country at a point. So there is that part that they can ride on to actually produce even better students. But go back down to the basics.
But you see, sorry to cut you short. Before you go back to the basics, and I would love for you to do that, if we look at only them being academic giants, but when they are indisciplined, do you see a problem in the workforce later?
This
Things
is what
to
I was
do with the
getting
attitude.
to.
Okay.
This is what I was getting to. And I was saying, we can ride on this to actually make it a better place for these students. Going back down to the basics, if that student who can sit and read and perform well can do that, then that means they have the potential and the ability to go through a mindset change. And it goes back down to, have you put systems in place? Have you implemented these systems properly? Also, I would call upon the old boys of these schools to please stop glorifying these things that would happen. Like I said, when you interact with some of these people, they will tell you, in our days, I had a godfather, or when I was in Form 1, I wished in school and so-and-so was there and they protected me. So it's taken as prestige in a way. Let's stop glorifying
The violence.
The violence that takes place in this school and the many other schools. And that is how we are going to change the minds of these young ones. The honest truth is, those times were primitive times where some of those things used to happen. And I have a long list of people that have gone to this school. Let's use these ones to teach these, these kids and show them a better example of how things can be done. Short of that, if I walk around, for example, and I am living in the glory of, I'm a bully, I beat people and everything, what do you think my young sister or brother is going to think?
That is the way to go.
I want to be like my sister. I mean, she's feared, you understand?
True.
So when we go back down to these people, the mindset that is out there about the school, the reputation needs to change totally.
Completely.
And it has to be more strict. There are schools where when you enter the school gate, the only time you're going to get out is when you're sick, and sometimes even when you're bedridden, that's when you get out. Short of that, there's a sick bay. Now, if you're going to the pitch, there is a bus that is going to take you, roll call is done and brought you back.
Because there seems to be a like a breakup in the system of if there is a pitch outside the school. What is the what mechanisms does the school put in place to ensure that when they get out for co-curricular activities, how they come back? Yes, because you said that in the West many schools glorified in being violent.
Back then, yes.
Yes, back then. But right now others are not the same. Why is it this school? It means that there is something that is not.
You know what
like
is actually
perceived.
You know what is actually more worrying though is when you look at the 240 students that were suspended, you get to realize that not all of them were even engaging in this, and this is where most of the parents actually get more worried. You know, as a parent, you've paid a lot of money to take your child to school, and because of the image Ntare has as a good performing school, you want your child to go through that. And then when you hear of the news that, well, students have been suspended, first of all, you're going to be worried and scared, thinking that maybe your child was engaging in the same. Because I won't even believe that all of them are, let's say, violent as such. But though with time, you realize even the most polite student or even the most calm, down-to-earth, introverted kind of student, they will end up picking up one or two habits from here, and it will start pushing us into the working force or the working sector, whereby someone went through school, performed so well, but morally they cannot handle conflict management without use of force.
And yes,
exactly. And it's something that is going to be hitting us differently with the generation we're in. And I think we've all interacted with this kind of people
who are entitled,
you know, entitled. And we're not saying they are coming from one school.
No.
But I think we've all interacted with someone who's coming from a different kind of school or background, where they feel like regardless of anything that happens, they are supposed to be right all the time, and the way they argue out points, whether they are right or wrong,
it's my way or the highway.
Or the highway. When you go low, I go lower kind of people.
No. Yet when they go low, we should be going higher.
Exactly.
But anyway, we have views coming through. But before I share those, I would like for you that has just joined us to share your thoughts on the impact of student strikes in learning institutions. And of course, we are asking this against the background of the incident that happened yesterday when Ntare School in southwestern Uganda suspended all senior 6 students because of indiscipline. You can reach us through WhatsApp number 0709602592, and the hashtag, if you're on the X app, is UBCGMU. Now, I have a few comments that are coming in by text. And someone says she is Mirembe Saral from Natete, and she's asking, what should the public expect from the Ministry of Education if such habits have been taking place for several years? And she's like, bulls and lions in schools? What nonsense is this? That is from Saral in Natete. And this one says, good morning, thanks for the show. I'm Higo Regan, streaming live. As per today's discussion, it's really absurd for such actions to escalatively, locomote into schools again. I personally don't recommend strikes as the best way of communication, mainly because it really affects, I beg your pardon, he says he doesn't recommend because it really affects students and the institution itself for as far as the academics is concerned. But he says his best remedy has been that the institutions own the rules and regulations of which they follow. Let the administration critically analyze these regulations to the students. And secondly, the other way of curbing such is to actually give a hand to police so as to run posts at the entrance of these institutions, because mind you, it's too rare for the students to strike when there are armed forces, most especially those in high schools. And thirdly, let even the parents take concern of advising their children before leaving for studies, because some students are just at school just for fun, and they become the most culprits when it comes to these nasty acts. acts. Thank you, Higo. And this is Hope. And this is Kamara from Fort Portal, and he says, I hope Ntare strike and vandalism. He says the Ntale strike and vandalism is primitive and it is a shame to our nation as a country. And he says it was good for the school to suspend all the students. Now for the messages coming through on WhatsApp, thank you so much for writing through to us. This one is from AS in Rubaga. He says in the West it has become a tradition. The academic drafts, especially candidates, take advantage of such situations. Ntare School, they have their wives in Kajogo, so those cameras are preventing them from visiting them. Reason why all good politicians are from the West and the good doctors, lawyers, engineers are from the East and Central.
you see that kind of conversation, that kind of talk? Those are things that are actually there even before. The comparisons, these guys are like this.
This region produces this, this region produces that.
So that kind of competition existed among regions, but also among schools in some of those areas. And that's what led to glorification of violence when it came to all these things. With even a strike, well executed, you are the man. You guys at the school, you're doing really well.
Well, I have more views coming through, and this one says he says that the past is the past. This generation needs a different approach. Regulations now apply to all students. So I think he's referring to the background you gave us of, yes, this is what used to happen in the past. But right now, we have moved on. Other schools have moved on. So this school also needs to move on. And this is from Nobat in Nebi. He says, good morning. When the candidate class is about to sit for their final exams, they become big-headed. That is true. These cases are common in most schools where they don't even follow the school rules with the excuse that what they have is enough to make them pass. Indirectly, they said they no longer need teachers. This is actually true. Many candidates, when it is, especially like a month or two towards the end of, high school exams or end of O-level exams, they become indisciplined because they know we won't come back even. So they start doing this. But
they've already registered them as, they've already registered them. So they know, regardless, however much they suspend them, they will return and do the exams.
Yes.
So it's more of a kind of an environment that was already created, and it actually happens all over the country where these students become unruly because now they know it's my last term, 2 months, and I'm out of this place. They even start, insulting teachers or having conversations where they demean their teachers because they do know for a fact they're not coming back unless otherwise. But it's something that we also really need to look at. And this is where the career guidance comes in, by the way, where when teachers sit down or influential figures come in to talk to the students about how are you preparing yourself for the after school life. Because reality is that the person you studied with in high school may not be the same person you're going to interact with next year. The chances are you may meet them maybe in the working environment or workforce, but when you're actually doing different things. And then during the course of the year, after school, you're looking out or you're meeting new people. Now, if you're meeting new people and you start having the same kind of behaviors, there are some people who don't tolerate, certain behaviors around them. They will just cut you off immediately, regardless of how influential you may be to them. But as long as you're not bringing them the peace or that environment that feels healthy, then they will just cut you off.
Also, how do you expect to coexist with people? I
know. When you're acting as if you're uncontrollable.
The world owes you.
Exactly. So I think it is something that needs to be checked in all schools, regardless of whether it's single schools or even the mixed schools, because there is a lot that happens in school, and then when someone goes out of school, they start regretting why they were acting the way they were. Someone who would help you somehow in one way or the other, or someone who saw you grow and saw all your habits in school, may start seeing you or having a view of your character according to how you used to act, regardless of how you may have changed. So these are conversations that, they hard conversations that parents and teachers need to have to shape up a better generation coming.
Well, Gomesi Reserve Vincent from Uganda says the school is right because it must be saved first, others come later. Hey. And Immaculate says, good morning. It's good that the students were sent home because if they sent only the ones who participated in the strike, it won't make any sense. They will sort the good and bad bins after they are back later. And this one says, this is Chiseka Alfi, a teacher from Luwero Valley Secondary School. He says those students should also be penalized and they apply afresh with a fee of 500,000 each as application fee. All schools should learn how to discipline students. So yeah, this one says they must be penalized. Because of time, this will be our last comment. And it says, good morning, family. I find suspension a very light punishment to such immoral students. During our high school times, we used to think that if we all show solidarity against something, whether good or bad, but we deliberately refuse, the school can't suspend or expel all of us. But Intare School has proved this wrong. Secondly, most students tend to misbehave whenever they are approaching their UNEB examinations because suspension doesn't affect them much. After all, they soon come back for their finals. So I think Ministry of Education and Sports needs to find some serious punishment for all students who misbehave during this time, away from just mere suspension. Imagine all the damages they cause due to their indiscipline. Yet we know schools train literate and morally upright people to benefit our country. They say charity begins at home. So it goes back to parents. How do you raise and handle your children? Revise your methods. This is Cricket Derek Gagamel from Makinde, Luafu. Thank you so much for your views. Time is of the essence, so we will end this discussion right here, but the conversation ends online. You should continue to share your views there on the X app, and the hashtag is UBCJMU. My name is Olive Monica Najuma, and you're still watching Good Morning Uganda.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Pick of the day on UBC.
Every Wednesday, 10 p.m. on your public broadcaster.
Was brought to you by
MTN Momo Pay is the easy way to pay. Dial *165*3# or use the MTN Momo app. You don't need cash. MTN Momo Pay is safe and free.
Previously, in most of these areas that we had prioritized, farmers would produce, but you don't access market because the roads are not there. So you have the middlemen that would have access and they persevere to go into those deep in the villages and they buy with their own prices. They'll go there and set prices for you, and yet you're the ones who have produced this food. But now this time with linkages, people can now access market because we have bridges that were, streams that were bottlenecks to access by the farmers. It has constructed bridges, so farmers can now reach market.
Uncle, you should see London. Oh, my boy. This has been 5 years. You should see Uganda. Yes.
Uncle Marcus, this money for my school.
Soon there will be more than 1 million children learning like this for free.
Thank you, Uganda, for imagining it with us. fastest growing telecom in the country the past 5 years.
Hello there, good morning again. You're watching Good Morning Uganda, and it's Wednesday. It's now time for some business updates this particular hour of the show. Right, quite a number of business updates coming into the country, but besides that, the Uganda Manufacturers Association International Trade Fair also kicked off early this week. By start of business Sunday, most of the traders were organizing their stalls. Actually Saturday, most of them were organizing their stalls to put up their goods and commodities, as well as preparing all that matters to do with marketing everything that needs to be done to ensure that this full week is one where they promote, market their commodities to the world over. And yesterday officially it was opened up, and it will definitely be running till next week. So if you're out there and you want some goods or you want some services, you can pass by at the Uganda Manufacturers Association or at the UMA grounds there in Lugogo. Well, that aside, still business updates. There is a very growing concern in relation to loan recovery and the paying of loans. And this has actually forced some of the money lenders to start looking out for debt collectors or loan collectors who will definitely be getting the money on their behalf. Simply because at times since COVID-19, most of the people who have been going in to acquire loans have failed to pay back. So some of the let's say some of the loan dealers or money lenders have decided to actually change tactics and get into the business quite differently this time around, or having brokers who will definitely demand money for them. And we happen to get to sit down with one of the debt collectors or the loan collectors to share with us how it is usually and how they hustle it out when it comes to looking for these loans.
Mainly because of the pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic, that left so many individuals, so many businesses in tatters. So it becomes so hard, even the loyal clients who were paying their loans, to continue paying. It ate deep down into businesses and payment plans of different individuals. So that's one reason why loans are very hard to recover lately. Then you find there are also clients who are naturally not good at paying back. They're hardcore clients. They've also failed. They don't want to pay back. It's in their DNA not to pay back. So that is also another reason as to why loans are hard to recover lately. The other reason is the high interest rates and high risk rate. So many banks and money lenders have different interest rates and terms and conditions. So these, at the end of the day, someone might be willing to pay the loan, but actually, if they miss a month or two, then the interest rates are going to be high, making them hard to be recovered. Then also, individuals are high risk loan receivers. Reason being, they usually divert the purpose of the loan to other say weddings. Instead, you get a loan to improve on a business, but actually you divert the funds into doing something else. So these are some of the reasons why money lenders are shying away. Of course, when you fail, when the money lender or the financial institution fails to collect these loans by themselves, then we come in. This is our line of specialty because we use different methods to recover these loans. So to an extent, that is when we also get business. Actually, I advise financial institutions and money lenders and even individuals, because you could be an individual out there, you have rentals, you have businesses, people you've offered services to and they've not paid you, even TV stations or media houses. We have clients of a sort. So this is business to us. Yes, that is when we come in to make money also. Now, as Smart Skills, we work smart. We take each loan recovery, we do a case-by-case analysis. There are those that are smooth all the way. Of course, we just engage our tactics in the recovery department. And if these clients are compliant, then we do not go the extra mile. But then you'll find hardcore clients, and most of the clients that get to our table are usually hardcore clients. So definitely you get out of the kids' gloves, the pampering, and you get slightly outside the comfort zone. All we need to do is get someone out of their comfort zone and show them that, look, there is a responsibility you have to fulfill and get it done. But we do this legally. It is not illegal. The methods we use as Smart Skills are legal processes that we go through because they're processes that guide the recovery process, and these are the ones we follow. The first recommendation I give to money lenders, please do a thorough appraisal of the loans. What do I mean in this? As you're getting a client, as you're getting the loan application, do due diligence, know your customer, do a KYC that is thorough on this client, so that you are sure of what you're giving out. Most money lenders don't do that. For them, they're excited of giving out money and getting business out of it, but they don't do that KYC to know whether this person I'm giving the loan to is worth it or not. Secondly, I advise them to majorly give out secured loans so that in case the person fails to pay, they have a fallback position. You're looking at the security to advertise and foreclose at the end of the day or sell off if the money has failed to come through. The other advice I would give is to give loan education to the loan applicant, thorough loan education to the client, because most banks or financial institutions or money lenders do not take up this course. They don't educate these people on what to expect, what part they are to play in the loan, in this loan. So they keep some information to themselves and only concentrate on giving out the loan. Yet, if a person is well knowledgeable from A to Z of what is expected of them, they will definitely comply. Then to the loan applicants, the advice I would give to these people, please don't, if you're taking a loan, if you're applying for a loan, kindly utilize the funds utilize the funds in what it's supposed to do. As in, if you're getting a loan for the business, please let it be the business. Don't get a loan to do a wedding, don't get a loan to pay school fees, because if you put this money in a non-profitable venture, it definitely will crumble on you.
Of you who are actually as well following up on the issue to do with loan defaulters as well, quite a number of details coming in, because most of the reports coming in this year are actually revealing that most of the Ugandans who put their assets, for example, let's say vehicles as collateral, have been losing them. Many people have lost land titles simply because they failed to pay back loans that they took, for example, in 2020. And some of the these particular loan defaulters have actually gone on to get imprisoned at times, and money lenders have also closed down the business. So there is a very big concern of money lending in the country. Now, lastly, from our business update this morning, we look at the forex market. Now, the US dollar yesterday did close the buying at 3,737.79 shillings, while selling was at 3,747.79 shillings. The Great Britain pound, on the other hand, did close at 4,511.88, while selling at 4,523.95. The euro buying at 3,913.09, while selling at 3,923.56. Kenyan shillings 25.18 shillings, while selling at 25.25 shillings. The Tanzanian shilling buying was at 1.49 shillings, while selling at 1.50. Then the South African rand 194.09 shillings, while selling at 194.60 shillings. Lastly, though, we look at what is making headlines from the front pages of the papers. First, a revisit of the ones in Uganda. The New Vision highlighting raw hits Namirembe Bishop elections. That is according to the New Vision. As the International Day for Older Persons, more of the celebrations are in the New Vision today. As in the AFCON bid, legislators debate Uganda's readiness. More of that in the New Vision. Away from the New Vision, we look at the Daily Monitor, how the new malaria vaccine will work. You can read more of the same in the Daily Monitor today. Then in discipline, Entire school suspends all senior 6 students as Parliament demands report on Alupo, Nabanja and the US trip. As then the Uganda Wildlife Authority takes a new twist in the new US donation graft scandal. Away from that, crossing the borders to Kenya, the Daily Nation. President Ruto reverses Uhuru's 6 billion shillings telecom buyout in the acquisition row, as Kenya Kwanza as Mio clash over IEBC and poll audit. More of that is in the Daily Nation, as panic of 95 Erengi girl students are taken ill. Lastly, the Citizen in Tanzania, how the Tanzania Revenue Authority exceeded 2 trillion Tanzanian shillings monthly collection goal, as Tanzania's most decorated diplomat Salim gives an interview. Now, government of Tanzania now eyes Eurozone for the standard gauge railway financing. More of that is in the Citizen, as the World Health Organization recommends second malaria vaccine for children. Well, that aside, we now check out with the traffic updates. Chantal Olive Akandinda with more.
Thank you, Jerome Paul. Well, I am right now standing in Chanja. So if you're trying to make your way to town, move with me. Let's see how you can maneuver through today's traffic. But if you're coming from deeper Chanja, you are probably safe until if you're trying to use Chanja Chisasi Road, you, my friend, starting from Dundu Complex, you are headed for some good jam right there. And this goes all the way until you reach the Chisasi Business Hub or the Trading Center. Now, depending on where you want to go, if you want to take Bahai Road, you have traffic moves and then gets slow and then moves a bit, so you can decide which route you want to take. But if you decide to go as if you are headed to the main, I think it's the main Kampala Northern roundabout, then you, my friend, are headed for some good jam, because that roundabout at this time is really mad with the heavy jam. And as you can see with the deep red on that particular roundabout, you are headed for jam. If you want to proceed Ntinda Chisasi Road all the way to, if you're going to Ntinda, you're going to be headed for some tight jam, but also it gets loose a little bit as you proceed. But if I go back to Bahai Road, like I said, until you reach the Chisasi roundabout, you still have a jam at the roundabout. And of course, usually the roundabouts are mad with jam because people, Ugandans, you're not disciplined drivers. I'll keep telling you this. And because of that, that is where we are going to be finding lots and lots of jam right there. But if I proceed from the Chisasi roundabout and I'm trying to make my way to Bukoto, I'm going to look at, there is a bit of tight jam, but also at some point when you reach certain parts, you're going to find that you are actually moving. And I'm going all the way until I reach the junction that brings you from Bukoto Towers, but also brings you from the Kampala Northern Bypass Highway to connect you to the Bukoto Chisasi Road. If you are trying to use the Bukoto Chisasi Road, traffic is not so bad, so you might as well decide to use that route if you are trying to get to town. Now, when you get to the junction, there is a small junction shortly after the flyover, you'll be finding because of that junction that brings you from Chevando Chisalo Salo. For those who are coming from Chevando Chisalo Salo, if you're trying to connect to Bukoto, you are headed for really some good jam. So if you have another route that you can use, I would highly recommend that you do that. But when you reach the junction, depending on where you are going, if you're going back to Chisasi or going back to Chanja, you are safe to move. If you are coming to town, then you are actually okay until you reach the junction that has the lights that take you to Chira Road. Now, if you decide to use the inside route, I think I would call it an access route that takes you all the way up to pardon me, that takes you all the way up to the upper side shortly after Kabira Country Club. There is a lot of jam in there, so you might want to reconsider using that route. But if I am going to Chira Road, I seem to be moving smoothly all the way downwards and up to Chira Road Police Station. Of course, that place has a little bit of jam because of the traffic lights. And if you want to proceed to Lugogo Bypass, you are safe to move. If you want to proceed to Chira Road, you are also safe to move, and that is if you're going all the way to Kisementi. But of course, inside that, things like Bukoto Street, there is jam. You might want to use a different route in case you want to. But otherwise, aside from that, Lugogo Bypass is safe until you are approaching the lights that take you to Naguru Road. Then you have some bit of jam because of the lights especially, but short of that, you are free to move. Well, looks like jam is not really too much at this time on those roads. Chira Road is not really congested. We've seen Ntinda Bukoto, Chisasi Bukoto, also just a little bit of loose ends here and there. But at the end of the day, you have a route that you can use. If you're coming from Chevando, trying to connect to Bukoto, that Chevando Chisalo Salo Road is really mad with a lot of jam. So you might want to reconsider using that route. But I cannot go further than this because agenda will be coming in shortly. And that is it that we could do for you for the traffic updates. My name is Chantal, and Good Morning Uganda continues.
Of the day on UBC.
Every Wednesday, 10 p.m. on your public broadcaster.
Was brought to you by
MTN Momo Pay is the easy way to pay. Dial *165*3# or use the MTN Momo app. You don't need cash. MTN Momo Pay is safe and free.
Nibanyita kana nyita says Nwagaba, commercial officer, Ntungamo district government.
I am Sez Nwagaba, the commercial officer for Ntungamo local government. I express my gratitude to God for this platform and the Emyuga initiative brought to us by His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, as it has positively transformed the lives of the people in Ntungamo, whom I have known for a long time. When you visit the beneficiaries of this program, you can easily witness the significant positive changes in their lives. The audit report demonstrates that despite their leader being deaf and blind, profits are being made, highlighting how this program has actively engaged and evolved every individual. Initially, we received 2,650 million Uganda shillings. Each constituency received 530 million Uganda shillings. I would like to express my gratitude to this platform for providing us with the opportunity to share information about the Emyuga program. Our special thanks go to the President for initiating the program, and additionally, I would like to mention that there are numerous similar projects in Rubare and Ntungamo.
Did you know that the filing of provisional income tax returns by individuals for the year ending 31st December 2021 is due by 30th of June 2021? We understand that the times...
A new dawn on Behind the Headlines with me, Timothy Nyangweso, every Wednesday live in our studios in the heart of Kampala. We have conversations that have analysis, explanation, but not every truth is fact and not every fact is truth. Every Wednesday, 10 p.m. on your public broadcaster.
All on your public broadcaster, UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Did you know that Dr. Apollo Milton Obote led Uganda to independence in 1962? Born in Akokoro village in Apache district on December 28, 1925, Dr. Apollo Milton Obote worked in Buganda in southern Uganda before moving to Kenya, where he worked as a construction worker at an engineering firm. While in Kenya, Obote became involved in the national independence movement. Upon returning to Uganda in 1956, he joined the political party Uganda National Congress and was elected to the Colonial Legislative Council in 1957. In 1959, he founded the Uganda People's Congress Party that he represented at the Ugandan Constitutional Conference held at Lancaster House in 1961. The conference was organized by the British government to pave way for the Ugandan independence. In the run-up to independence elections, Obote formed a coalition with the Uganda Royalist Party, Kabakaika. Following the nation's independence, Dr. Apollo Milton Obote served as Prime Minister of Uganda from 1962 to 1966 and the second President of Uganda from 1966 to 1971, then again from 1980 to 1985. Dr. Apollo Milton Obote died on 10th October 2005 and was buried in his ancestral home in Apache district.
UBC is the national public broadcaster. We educate, inform, entertain, and inspire our audiences. You can watch us on free-to-air channel 001, DSTV channel 282, GoTV channel 371, Star Times channel 201, Zuku TV channel 20, and Azam TV channel 350. Even when your subscription expires, you can still watch UBC for free on your pay TV platforms.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Of the day on UBC.
Every Wednesday, 10 p.m. on your public broadcaster.
was brought to you by
MTN Momo Pay is the easy way to pay. Dial *165*3# or use the MTN Momo app. You don't need cash. MTN Momo Pay is safe and free.
Nibanyita kananye niyita Sezi Nuwagaba commercial officer Ntungamo district government.
I am Sezi Nuwagaba, the commercial officer for Ntungamo local government. I express my gratitude to God for this platform and the Myuga initiative brought to us by His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, as it has positively transformed the lives of the people in Ntungamo, whom I have known for a long time. When you visit the beneficiaries of this program, you can easily witness the significant positive changes in their lives. The audit report demonstrates that despite their leader being deaf and blind, profits are being made, highlighting how this program has actively engaged and evolved every individual. Initially, we received 2,650 million Uganda shillings. Each constituency received 530 million Uganda shillings. I would like to express my gratitude to this platform for providing us with the opportunity to share information about the Imyoga program. Our special thanks go to the President for initiating the program, and additionally, I would like to mention that there are numerous similar projects in Rubare and Ntungamo.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Thank you so much for keeping it Good Morning Uganda. My name is Olive Monica Najuma, and this is the point where we delve into the agenda of the day. Now, today we will be looking at the youth and innovation and how best we can boost the economy through innovation. Now, I am not alone this morning. I am joined by a gentleman, Mwonge Muhammad from Badai Technologies Limited, to shed more light on how the youth can boost the economy through innovation. And of course, as you know, this month on the 6th and the 7th of October, there will be a National Youth and Innovation Expo 2023, and the theme is fostering innovation for Uganda's transformational development. So yes, everything is geared towards the youth in this country. As you may know, 70% of Uganda's population is the youth, and since we know that we do not have enough jobs for all of these youths, the 70%, how best can we keep them in the workforce? How best can they make money? And this is the question we are asking today regarding innovation. You're welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So first of all, briefly, tell us about Badai Technologies.
Badai Technologies is an innovation company. We actually specialized in innovating technologies locally. It is a team. Badai Technologies is a team of engineers from local universities. After education, we decided to start up our company and start innovating different innovations. Just take you back, during COVID, we heard of innovating technologies along that line. We're the ones who came up with a touchless hand wash. But then after COVID, we had to come up with other innovations. So we decided this time around to focus on agrotech.
Okay.
Why? When you look at Uganda, I mean, agriculture is a backbone of our economy. And there's a very big gap as far as using technologies is concerned in the agriculture sector. So we now focusing on creating technologies that are going to help our farmers and other processors in handling the post-harvest challenges.
Okay.
Yeah.
So did you say you came up with the touchless hand wash?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
That idea came because for us, what we actually focus on a problem and creating a solution, technological solution.
Okay.
And still to take you back, during that time, hand wash was a challenge.
Yes.
And you know, they had these touch technologies or the
yet
pedal.
we were trying to fight
sure. So we
surfaces.
sat as brains and came up with a touchless and pedalless technology that would communicate with the user and record data. Yeah.
Okay, that's an interesting innovation.
Yeah, sure.
So now, coming back to the youth and innovation, when we say innovation, what do we mean?
When innovation is bringing something into life. It has its own stages. First of all, it starts with an idea.
Yes.
You must have an idea of what you want to innovate. Then you look at the problem. Which problem are you going to solve? Then you come up with a good technological solution.
Okay.
So first of all, you do the research of what you want to innovate. And then in most cases, you have to collaborate with academia and then do extensive research. If at all it has to be impactful. You also need to focus on what will be your target group. I mean, which target market are you focusing on to? And then thereafter, what is the scalability? I mean, will it make business sense if you're focusing on business? So that is purely innovation and what it takes to have it.
Okay. Now, like I said earlier, the youth Uganda's population comprises of about 70% youth.
Yep.
And when you say that, when we talk about youth and innovation, which areas you said you as your company, you focus on agribusiness? Yes. But which other areas can the youth be able to innovate and, empower themselves?
There's so many areas. Could be the health sector. When you look at, if I can give you an example, accessing medical services in remote areas is a challenge. So if at all youth can come up with an innovation, maybe in drone technology, whereby people can easily get access to medication. Maybe there's a drone that can take medical services to reach those remote areas. There are so many areas like the social life. I mean, the recreation business. I mean, it is all about where you're passionate about. I won't be so specific.
Yes.
But you need to follow your passion. What do you want to do, and then come up with a good idea. I mean, come up with an idea and sort out the issue. In most cases, when you look at our market, as far as innovations are concerned, there's a very huge market for whichever innovations that comes out. But the question is, what have you innovated? How have you made sure that what you've innovated is really scalable? Just like I told you earlier, does it make business sense? Purely that. There are so many things that you can actually innovate and do good business.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, still, because someone is out there, they have an idea.
Yeah.
They would like to come up with, because like you said, innovation is birthing ideas or even products onto the market to solve a problem that is existing, and of course, in the end, make you some money, because he emphasized the profitability part of it. But now, for you, probably you got this information, you got this knowledge of whatever you're dealing in from university. How about the youth out there that hasn't really advanced so much in academic-wise or education-wise, but still they would like to come up with something and empower themselves? How do we help them?
I would begin by saying that 99% of life is practical. So you need to, they can simply focus on practical skills. Just like I told you, if you have a passion in something, let's say you want to do something with, to do with agriculture. Very many farmers are not educated.
True.
But they're very good farmers. You know, they use they make good use of trainings that comes up from time to time. So to me, I think the youth, one, should be very participative as far as such organizations come up. I mean, such seminars, let's say, come up. They should work in teams. Sometimes you might not succeed as an individual, you know, but if you combine heads and you're 1, 2, 3, you can come up with a very good idea and then start up something. But the challenge in most cases, we want to work as individuals, you know, as youth. And we think that maybe if we work as individuals, we're going to have everything alone. To me, I think we need to change a little bit of our mindsets and work in teams. If I take you back to Badai as a company, we are a team. We just came up as a group of young engineers and started up something, because everyone knows something better than the other.
Yes.
So when you combine these skills, you can easily come up with something extremely beautiful. When you look at the technologies that we manufacture here, actually to some people think that's not even locally manufactured.
Like which?
When you look at, we made some research in Kamodi district.
Yes.
It was based on the maize farmers. So we came up with maize cleaning machine, pre-cleaner. You know,
maize cleaning
machine.
Okay.
Because when you look at our market in Uganda locally and the sub-Saharan Africa, maize cleaning is one of the biggest challenges.
And it is because of that we have issues of aflatoxins.
Exactly. It is a huge challenge. People use these ordinary methods like the winnowing and others. So we based our research on pupils in Kamodi district. They would actually spend more time cleaning maize for processing porridge they would eat at school and porridge than the time they would spend in class. So we came up with a technology that would help them clean maize. And this is a project we actually worked hand in hand with the Iowa State University Kamodi branch, Uganda program.
Okay.
So
now on the screen there is that machine, the footage of that machine. Is that one of your innovations?
Yeah. That is a maize cleaner I'm talking about.
Okay.
That machine has a cleaning capacity of 7 tons per hour.
7 tons per hour?
Yes, those are 7,000 kilograms of maize per hour.
Wow.
Which remove dirt, stones and cobs and everything. So you're going to have very clean flour, and maize bran will be purely clean. I mean, it is an amazing technology. But before, someone would take over a whole day cleaning just a ton of maize. It now takes you just an hour to clean, an hour and a half to clean about 13 tons.
Okay.
You know.
How much manpower does one need to use that machine?
No, only one person.
Only one person.
Yeah, it's a plug and play technology.
And in terms of electricity?
Very, very friendly.
Are you sure?
Yes, because that machine...
a businessman out there that maybe in that business may look at it are considering it, but now they're looking at running costs.
Yeah, you know, when we're designing this technology, we looked at our business. It was designed based on the people who are going to use it locally. When you look at our people that are doing business outside, they would prefer something that makes a saving for them. When you look at the technology that we have locally, most of it is imported, and it's not design fit. Yeah, for the
design fit for the local market. What do you mean?
For the local market, I mean, the research is not based on the problems within our market.
Okay.
You know. Now, when you look at that machine, as big as it is, it uses a motor. Those who know the HPs, like 2 HP, 2 horsepower. So it consumes very, very little electricity, you know, and it uses only 2 small motors. So now a person outside there would not have any problem as far as electricity is concerned. Secondly, its usability is very easy. You don't need to be so much educated or even educated to use it.
Reminds me of, you remember the machines that were still innovated locally to grind ground nuts. And I think that was an innovation by people locally. So this is, because lately we've been having issues with aflatoxins, where countries like Kenya and then South Sudan have been rejecting our products because they say that there are aflatoxins in them. And now if you don't know what aflatoxins are or how they are caused, it is usually because of how the product is kept, and of course the cleaning process that is that Mr. Mwonge is trying to talk about. But now going back to the youth, there have been many youths that have innovated different products and startups, and many of these have over time failed. Why is that?
First of all, innovations as a business is very expensive. Because I told you start with research. Research, during that time when you're doing research, you're not earning anything, but you're investing.
Yes.
So you must have good capital, or you must have the knowledge of maybe writing proposals and seek for grant, for funding in form of grants. Secondly, you need to be so much committed and very patient. Most youth think that when you start a business today, it is going to be successful tomorrow. There are so many challenges during that stage, so you're going to fall as you rise up. Now, most of the youth, or most of us as youth, during that youthful stage, you want quick things. You want to start it today, then tomorrow it's successful, and then you achieve.
There is no patience.
Yes, there's no patience. Secondly, when I take you through to that stage where you actually need a lot of patience, when you launch, now you start the idea, you've researched, you've started, you've done the first prototype, that first physical item, you have to test it. During all that stage, you have not made any profit, but you're investing. Then you launch the product into the market. You do not have enough money to sustain you as an individual. So if you're not patient, you easily give up.
Well, before you continue, I would like to call in views and questions from our listeners. If you are a youth out there and you'd like to innovate something and you're wondering how to start, you're wondering how to, approach whatever aspect you want to approach, whatever problem you need to solve. I'm speaking to a gentleman that is also looking very youthful himself, so I believe he's the right person to tell you about youth and innovation, because the president has been spreading a message about job creation. We know that many youths that graduate from institutions of higher learning like universities and other institutions are churned out every single year. There is a university that is graduating students. Just a few weeks ago, there was a university graduating students, and you may find that in one area or one part of the country, there are students that are graduating from universities or higher learning institutions. But where are the jobs? They're all coming into this workforce. They're coming out of universities to join the workforce. But the people in the workforce are also not leaving. I'll give you an example. When you're in broadcasting, if you listen to some of the predominant radio stations, you're going to find that the people that have been presenting some shows on those radio stations have been there for even 20 years. But you have also come out of school and you want to do the same job. So in the event that you don't get that job, what do? You have to innovate. That is where the world is going. And if you want to innovate, you need to know the do's and don'ts, the pros and cons, and this is where this conversation comes in. So if you have questions and views, please reach us through our WhatsApp number, which is 0709602592, and if you're on the X app, the hashtag is UBCGMU, and we are asking you to share your opinions or your views or your questions regarding boosting the economy through innovation. done by the youth. And I am joined by Mr. Mohammed Muwonge from Badai Technologies. Did I get that right?
Yeah, sure.
So you are still talking about the reason why innovations or startups by the youth usually fail.
Yeah, sure. So I was telling you, you actually need to have a lot of patience. And if you're not patient, you actually give up. Another challenge is actually capital. Just to relate it on what I just said, you actually need to have some substantial capital sometimes if you to start something really good. Sometimes if you're going to go into innovation, the level at which our people adopt to new innovations is actually a challenge. We have had this mindset for so long, I don't know why, that things that are innovated and manufactured locally are actually fake. On contrary, it's not. I mean, it's not the case. So there is a lot of there's a need to change our mindset, first of all, as Ugandans, that we can actually do things locally and they do wonderful things for us. And I think if still the government also does support innovations that are manufactured locally, it will encourage now the new innovators to come into the market. For example, there are certain things that we actually have here and they wouldn't actually be imported. I mean, there's no need of importing them. So now if they can discourage certain things to be imported.
Things like what? Things
like furniture, you know, things like the agrotech, most of the agrotechnologies we do, and other players in the business. These things can be done locally. Now, if that is done, then you're going to see more and more innovations come up. But it takes patience, takes hard work. You need to be so much committed to come up with an innovation and actually benefit out of it. There's a lot of unemployment today.
Yes.
You know, but the reason is because, one, we think you cannot start something. Instead of starting something, you need to look for someone who has already started something and you work for them. Yes, we by default, yes, there are those who are employees and those who are employers. But if we have more of employers or more of innovators, then we're going to reduce the level at which unemployment is rising amongst the youth. When you look at universities, every year, each university releases a certain number of students, into the market.
That's true.
The question is, where are the jobs? You know? Now, if the students do not create their own jobs, then you become a job seeker. These days, looking for a job has also become another job.
I even see sometimes some jokes people, where people say, it's been 5 years since my uncle took my CV to see what he can do.
And sometimes people put in to get these jobs. You know, to a certain extent, they put in amounts of money that would have helped them to start something. And they also need to yes, there is starting in innovations and everything, but you can also start up something that might not necessarily be a new innovation. It could be a business based on an existing innovation. You can, if we focus then on just employment, besides I would deviate a little bit from the innovation, for us to reduce on the number of unemployment, people can just start any small business that they can. Yeah, it is through that everyone, all of us, didn't start from innovations.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah,
we
started with totally different things. Then from there we got ideas, because you can only get an idea if at all you're moving. When you're moving a step, you find a problem and then think of a solution, you know.
For instance, you work in IT in a company, you identify a problem and then you know this is how best I could probably help solve this problem.
Exactly. So it all starts with working. You start with what you have. Start as little as you you can, you know, then keep growing. During that stage, make research. I mean, look at a problem, analyze it, and then think of how to come up with an innovation.
Okay, so there is a question coming through on WhatsApp, and please share your views and your thoughts regarding how best the youth can boost the economy through innovation. And the WhatsApp number through which you can reach us is 0709602592, and the hashtag on the X app is UBCGMU. Now, Hassan Opolot from Hoima is asking, how does one gain patience in innovation? Because you find that government imposes a lot of tax on materials that are to be used to come out with an innovation project.
That's an interesting
yeah.
But in any business that you venture into, you first and foremost, you have to be aware of the challenges that are involved into such a business you're going into. If you're going to be an innovator, you must first do research on the challenges that you're going to face during your innovation journey. You know, so if yes, there are taxes that are imposed on innovations, which I think shouldn't be the case, because when you overimpose taxes, then you're going to discourage new innovators to come up.
Yes.
Or you're going even to suppress the existing ones, and they run out of the market, out of the business. But still, you persist. You know, you persist with hope. One person once said that we live by hope, and the moment you lose hope, then there's no purpose of life. So you keep hoping that things will change. Maybe tomorrow a bill will come up.
So basically the message you're preaching is persistence.
Yeah, persistence. You just need to be persistent. You just need to keep on working hard and finding better ways of surviving with what you do. Yeah.
Okay, that's an interesting way to put it. Now, someone also has a question regarding the machines that you're making. What did you call the machine?
We named it Sonsula. It is a pre-cleaner.
It's a pre-cleaner.
Sonsula is a local Uganda word.
Yes.
That means sieving.
Sieving, yes.
Yes. It's a Sonsula maize cleaner, and it is already on the market.
And someone is asking if, you see, we've heard about innovations and products that are purportedly made in Uganda, but when most times it is just, you know, the assembling. So someone is wondering if this product from start to finish is locally made.
Yeah. This product started as an idea. It has never existed. So actually it started, those who have been following it up, we started with a paid-operated one. If you go on the YouTube channels, I mean, if you go back into print media, you'll see it. It started as a paid-operated maize cleaner. Then when we made research, we actually realized that there's another market of the maize processors, the maize millers. So for them, they didn't prefer the paid-operated one because they have electricity and they produce to the maximum capacities. So we came up with that motorized version.
Okay.
Yeah. So it is.
So everything from start to finish is thought and made by Badai.
By us, by Badai technology. It had never existed. It is a technology we started from scratch. We went through all the stages, developed the product, tested the market, and it is now a product that generates revenues, sales revenues.
Okay, okay. So as someone that has, as we close, as someone that, you mentioned some of the challenges that the youth could be facing regarding innovations, and then you also mentioned when someone said that there is high tax on some innovation projects. What are those, from a person that is already in the innovation sector, what incentives or mechanisms should government put in place to support innovators in the country?
I think the first one would be tax exemption. To me, as an individual, I wouldn't find sense on taxing an innovation that has just come up. when the government is preaching, promoting them. You're actually not promoting them. Two, I think if the government injects some money into this innovation, by injecting, it should make sure that this money actually reaches those innovators.
Yes.
Yeah. There is passing the money and then it doesn't
reach.
You get? There should be a process that monitors these funds to ensure that these funds have actually reached the right beneficiaries. I think it would help a lot because there are so many brains outside there.
So there is a budget by the Ministry of Science and Innovation to help people like you.
Yeah.
Have you reached out to the ministry? Have they gotten to you? Have you benefited from this?
Yeah, we have. As Badai Technologies, we have actually worked with some of these ministries and we have actually benefited from them at a certain level. Like during that time, I told during COVID and during the development of that product, that Sunsun Maize Cleaner, we actually got a funding with Ministry of ICT when we're developing our touchless hand wash kit. And then through Makerere University Research and Innovation Fund, they actually funded us. We got some funding during the development of that Sunsun Maize Cleaner. And so many other funds from here and there. So we have benefited as Badai Technologies. At least we knew the approach.
Okay.
I think the message should also be open to the public so that more people can actually be aware of this.
Okay, and how have the ordinary farmers benefited from Badai Technologies?
Oh yeah, the average farmers have benefited in a sense that maize cleaning is never a hassle. It is never a challenge now. It's no longer a challenge. Why we developed a technology that fits them, which doesn't use electricity. We have a version that doesn't use electricity, so they can easily clean their maize.
So in as much as if they do not have the electricity?
Yeah, they use a pedal-operated one. Yeah. This motorized version is for the maize processors mainly. So they have benefited too. You know, when you look at the prices of clean maize and the dirty one, it is totally different.
So in the long run, this is really working out.
Yeah, it is actually working out for the farmers.
Okay, we have a few comments. This one says, what factors are considered for one to be innovative, and how do I boost up my capabilities and willingness to work with such youth if I'm from the East? He says Far East, but I think he meant the East.
Innovations, just like I told you, you need to find your passion and then look around the problems you want to solve, you want to address. And then it will be based on that you come up with a technological solution if you're going to innovate in line with technology. So it all depends on what exactly you want to do and the problem you want to solve, you know. I think merely that.
So do you have like large-scale farms that have embraced your innovation?
To be honest, we have only worked with organizations, like as far as dealing with local farmers are concerned, like the Iowa State University Uganda program. We have worked with RAN, Resilient Africa Network. And then this side, on the other business side, we have mainly worked with maize processors.
So you've not worked with government projects like NADS?
No, we haven't.
Why not? I'm putting you on the spot.
We haven't, but we definitely
Is there a plan?
Yeah.
Because you see, projects like that reach even more farmers.
Yeah, they actually reach more farmers. And I think we'll take a step and reach out to them.
Okay, and someone says government should equip schools undergoing students, which, okay, basically what this person is trying to say is that schools should be equipped to skill students with innovation ideas rather than just giving them theory. I think you're in agreement with that.
Yeah, I totally agree. Just like I told you, 99% of life is practical.
Okay.
Everything that we admire is actually practical. Let it be a car, let it be a house, let it be anything.
Anything.
Yeah.
Now, I'll read one last comment and we will call it a day. This one says, I am Kata from Uganda. It is a reflection of loss of social fabric. Sorry, I beg your pardon. He says, have they thought of adapting it, your technology, to other crops, because the principle should be the same? And as you answer that, you will also share your contact information as we close.
Just because of time, we have been able to mention about Sunsula, but we will do other technologies.
Okay.
Those in farming, like animal farming, we actually do the silage cutting machines. We do the hammer mills for those in feeds, poultry farming. We do so many machines. So it is about what you do. So long as you're in line with agriculture or farming, then you approach us, you tell us which kind of technology you want us to make for you. We'll definitely come up with it.
So some people are already asking about the price of the machine, but I think the best thing to do is to share your contact information.
Okay.
Yes, please. Go ahead.
You can reach us on 0772 222 950. 0772 222 950 or 0200 906 369.
Do you have social media pages?
Yeah, you can find us on Twitter at Badai, or X these days at Badai, and Facebook, or you can also reach visit us on our website www.badaitechnologies.com.
Well, thank you so much for being a part of UBC and, of course, being a part of Good Morning Uganda. This has been the agenda, and I've been speaking to a gentleman that is Mr. Muonge Muhammad from Badai Technologies. They deal in agribusiness products, products that make your journey in agribusiness easier. And he has shared his contacts, so if you need to reach out for any questions, please feel free to reach out to him. My name is Olive Monica Najuma, and up next is the sports updates.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Did you know that Dr. Apple Milton Obote led Uganda to independence in 1962? Born in Akokoro village in Apache district on December 28, 1925, Dr. Apple Milton Obote worked in Buganda in southern Uganda before moving to Kenya, where he worked as a construction worker at an engineering firm. While in Kenya,